people just don't know how to market or make it happen. And I'm amazed things go on the way they do, because it's getting worse and worse. And it's a simple fact that people aren't taught. They don't know the right way to do it, which I think is the right way. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just so disconnected out there in so many ways, shapes, and forms.
And that's the voice of TV personality, marketing expert, and former program director Artie Breyfogle. And last time, we talked about longtime 93 KHJ overnight boss jock Johnny Williams, who was there at Radio 93 longer than any of the other boss jocks were. We also teased you before the last segment about another boss jock Artie would have loved to have worked with. Art, who was that?
I always wanted to program a radio station with Harvey Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And you put him on midday. And you know what you call him? The Lady Killer. You know the story, what I'm talking about. He actually, I guess, was a very nice guy. He just went ballistic. I guess that gal was just totally psychotic. And that's how he got out of it pretty much after a few years. And he started a radio station up in Chino or wherever the hell he was, up at some prison, and got some guys into radio because of that.
Yeah, he did. And he even did an article for what was called RadioDigest.com. It's long gone now. I think Tom Looney ran it. And Harve told the entire story about what happened. He says, don't say poor Harve, poor my ex-wife, or late wife. He says, that was my responsibility. I was wrong in what I did. So he took responsibility for it.
Yeah, but she was pretty damn creepy. And what did he end up doing? Did he kill the sports announcer?
I think I heard he just killed her.
He just killed her, yeah. But that was who she had been sleeping with. And I don't think that was the aspect. It's just that she would call him up on air. She's, I'm here with him right now, and I'm doing this, that kind of wacko stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Shades of Play Misty for me.
Yeah.
Well, there's a movie I can't stand watching it anytime. Oh, God, even though it was done at the radio station he went in. I lived in Monterey for, almost 5 years, and mouth of the Carmel Valley, they shot at this podunk radio station. And when you watch the movie, the view meter's never moving. That's why I love watching old movies about radio where they actually had the view meters doing their thing, back in the old days.
I did a short film a couple of years ago where we were at a studio in Burbank, and I should have said we should have been wearing headphones. We were not wearing headphones in the scene. I'm like, well, it was a short film, and still, but I was like, I should have said we need to be wearing headphones for this to be real, because we weren't wearing headphones or even earbuds for that matter in the scene. That was supposed to be a radio station. We're talking to a listener, etc. Yeah. But
that's right. I always work one ear off. I learned that young. I was taught that, and it worked good for me. You heard the source material, like on your left ear, and on the right you heard you and the real world out there. And it was more of a realistic blend, I thought, than putting both on your head. I don't know how you worked it, but that's how I did it.
Yeah, sometimes I would do it, one ear on, one ear off type of thing. Other times both ears. So it just kind of depends on different factors.
Did you ever know Randy Houck?
Never did, no.
He was an interesting cat. He was at KVFM as a young kid from the Porter Hotel days, and then came back after I had left when I was PD at KVFM. And he was really good. Worked with a guy named Stu Olson, and they did a bunch of comedy bits. And then Stu was an editor for Feminine Forum. He edited the shows, which were taped on KGVS, weren't they? I think that's where Balance did his on-air, and then they would tape them and syndicate them from there.
Wow.
KGBS was a daytimer, 10:20, right. I think it was, the country station way back then.
And that was on 97 FM 24/7 simulcast, obviously from sunrise to sunset.
Yeah, when I was in FM, nobody listened to FM. My parents couldn't hear the station on the other side of the valley. These guys, these idiots that did it, they put it in the panorama tower. It's the lowest point of the valley, even though the tower was above the building. And the signal just went into the edge of the side of the valley. If they'd put the transmitter on a hill outside of the valley, it would have been heard everywhere. But, 3,000 watts horizontal and vertical, and you didn't hear crap more than 4 miles away. It was horrible. But That was how they ran the radio station, and we knew all the things they could do to fix it. From on air, running rock, we could have made $1 million, lots of other stuff, but they never did. There were 3 guys who were partners. One guy that ran the Red Cross down on Sherman Way for the Valley, John Stroud, nice guy. Don Pedretti was an engineer for aerospace who was very volatile. I got mad at me one time. I said, we need this room fixed for production. He took me and grabbed me by my collar and pulled me close to him and said, don't ever tell us what we need to do here. I've dumped so much money into this radio station. He went on and on for 3 minutes. And then there was a super nice guy named Vern Vang who owned an auto repair shop. And Vern was a part-time acrobat, and, he could do the trapeze and all that, and lovely wife. And I would see him every week because I go get the paychecks from his house in Northridge and bring him back to the station. And those were the 3 guys who ran the place, and it was just, we never went anywhere because of that. And they had one old guy that sold the time, and it was those old 2.5-minute commercials. 2.5 minutes. Perhaps you just wondered about it. Come on in and browse. The same stuff over and over. We would picture him so bad. And he got paid. They would. What he would do, he'd shove stuff under the door at night, and that would be the copy. And then I was typing the logs. I did everything. They had no secretary. They had nothing. They didn't have a phone. The guys were abusing the phone on long-distance calls, so they took it out. Remember those phones you just lift up, and there was a round circle, and there was no dial? Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they put in. Until then, they found out they could cheat that by opening the back and doing stuff. And then we had no phone. So I'm doing a remote once with Phil Blazer. And he said, I live just around the corner at the shopping center on Sherman Oaks, the outdoor center there, the huge one. Fashion.
Oh, yeah, Fashion Square?
Yeah. So he's doing a B'nai Shalom from 5 to 7 some Sunday or afternoon or something. I go, Phil, we got no phone to talk to you about. He says, here's what you do. You come downstairs every 20 minutes and call me from the elevator phone. And I'll talk to him. So I'd go to the elevator, and I just let the phone, you could open the little box, and it would hang down on the cord. And I call him up. He goes, okay, we're going to do this. Okay, I'll talk to you in 20 minutes. There's nobody in the building Sunday. The elevator would go up and down with the phone dangling, and then I get him, up on the radio. But the things that get me is, like I said earlier, so many things you see today, TV and here on the radio or whatever. People just don't know how to market or make it happen. And I'm amazed things go on the way they do because it's getting worse and worse. And it's a simple fact that people aren't taught. They don't know the right way to do it, which I think is the right way. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just so disconnected out there in so many ways, shapes, and forms.
Well, it's interesting. I remember a couple of years ago, there was a movie called John Carter that Disney did. And Disney did a terrible job marketing it. There were some fans that said that the marketing's so bad, we're going to do our own fan marketing version. Because a lot of people who saw the trailer said, wait a minute, this is a complete ripoff of Star Wars and Star Trek. Little knowing that, wait a minute, John Carter of Mars was the story that inspired Star Wars and Star Trek. So what the fan trailer did was like the story that inspired Star Wars and Star Trek, John Carter. And it was
then
much better.
Interested.
It got interested. Yeah. So Disney should have, plus they didn't want to use John Carter of Mars because there was another movie earlier on that was called John, or had the word Mars in it, so they didn't want confusion. But the thing is, the book was called John Carter of Mars. Just calling it John Carter is like, okay, who the heck is John Carter? Is he
it sounds like Jimmy a private eye. That's what I thought it was when it came out. Yeah.
Or is he Jimmy Carter's, grandson or something? I mean,
who pisses on walls. Yeah.
Yes, it was just a terrible name. The same's true. There was a Christian movie a couple of years ago. It was about one of the Columbine students who was murdered. It was Rachel Joy Scott. And the director of the film, I heard him at a lecture about a year after the film came out, and he admitted that the title was terrible. The film was titled I'm Not Ashamed. Well, what does that mean? It doesn't say anything about the movie. I'm not ashamed. Not ashamed of what was what my thoughts were, but they said, but we don't want to use the words Columbine in the title of the film.
Oh, heaven forbid, for what it really really was. Yeah.
But it's like, dude, that's what the story was about. I mean, you could have called it, Rachel Joy Scott's Letters from Littleton, maybe, because people remember the name Littleton. That way the name Columbine's not in there, but people know Littleton because of Columbine. You could have called it Letters from Littleton. That would have piqued people's interest. Letters from Littleton, that sounds interesting. But they went with something called I'm Not Ashamed, but that's very Christianese. But, even then, not ashamed of what? Most people don't know.
It's marketing 101. I mean, if you're not giving the message out, why do you expect people to tune in or follow or whatever? It's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, we have all the answers. Thank God we do. But,
yes, exactly.
Keep going and on. Here we are with our little podcast and Facebook pages, doing nothing in life but enjoying ourselves. So.
Exactly.
But that's what's important.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, Artie, thanks for coming on.
I really enjoyed it. You ever get up to Vegas, look me up. I probably won't be in L.A. much. I hate going to Cali now. It's just so depressing and everything else.
I don't blame you.
I went to an old friend named Chuck Carson who passed away, and they had a memorial for him about 5 months ago. And at the time I had gone before was when Chuck was involved, and I got to fly on a Ford Tri-Motor for a half hour over Fresno. What a joy that was. God, what a great airplane. The old Tin Lizzie with the 3 motors, one in the center and on the side, the Ford Tri-Motor from the 20s. And anyway, we were there for a few days. My kid lives there, and we went around and had a good time, but still it was depressing in the state. Just everywhere you went, even Bakersfield, everywhere, it's just like, oh, God, it's just not together anymore. You could feel that. What city do you live in?
I live in Glendale, and, it's crazy.
Is it still a bastion? Is it still quiet at night and all that other stuff?
For the most part, yeah, but they're doing these stupid road diets. Like, I live on Brand Boulevard between Glen Oaks and Mountain. They put these stupid road diets in where they've eliminated a lane on each side. So there's a fire station within that road diet area, and to put a bike lane. The bike lanes are wider than a smart car. So, and then you got these parking spaces that looks really ugly. And the thing is, a car could just veer out because of all these the way the parking spaces are now located. It's just very dangerous. And if the fire truck wants to get downtown, it has to go on the opposite side of the street because there's this crosswalk area where you got these concrete blocks that would keep a fire truck or even an ambulance from going the direction of downtown from the side that's going downtown.
Politicians, so you have to go knowing what's best for all of us.
Yeah, if I had a punk rock album, I'd call it "Experts Are Morons."
Yeah, no, it's a,
but no, yeah, it's ridiculous. And the people they surveyed were not the general residents of Glendale. They surveyed bike enthusiasts and Sierra Club.
Yeah, well, what are they going to say? I want a freeway for me. Yeah,
and the thing is, most people. I was taking some video a couple weeks ago for a friend of mine runs a TikTok account called Glendale News, and one of his got I think about 300,000 views from the bike lanes and the fact that within a 10-minute period or 15-minute period, there were no people driving down the bicycle lanes in the daytime. The fact of the matter is most people do not use bike lanes. What they'll do is they'll ride their bikes in the residential area because it's safer, number one. You don't have to sit in traffic and have, the fumes coming in your face as you're riding on your bicycle trying to get somewhere. And it's just a nicer thing is more relaxed. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about some car going down to the boulevard and hitting you or whatever. And so the bike lanes are plus they're also bad for small business. Small business taxes are crazy in California. When Garcetti became mayor of LA, he says, I want to reduce business taxes. I thought, okay, that's great. Finally somebody. But the thing is, he only reduced the business taxes for the Hollywood industry. He didn't reduce the business taxes for everybody else, even though a lot of those
his bills for all the advertising and on all the races. That's why, yeah.
Yeah, and so the thing is that a lot of those businesses that he did not reduce the business tax for, those guys probably do business with the Hollywood businesses he gave the discount to or the tax reduction to. So if he had just reduced it across the board, LA would be a much better place right now to do business in. And not to mention, he also had homeless like you wouldn't believe. There was on the 2 freeway between the 134 in Eagle Rock, underneath both underpasses, both on Colorado Boulevard and Wilson Avenue, there was all these homeless tents on both sides of the sidewalk that if you wanted to walk from Eagle Rock to Glendale, you couldn't do it. You had to walk on the street because all the homeless tents and the trash and all that stuff. Now, Mayor Bass is not much better than Garcetti, but at least she's cleaned that up. For the most part, the homeless tents are gone under her watch. So that's one good thing she has done, is get rid of those homeless tents.
Yeah, but where's all the so many billions of dollars? Where'd that all go?
Exactly. We don't know where it went. I mean, it's like...
Of course, nobody does. Well, I know where it went, but,
yeah.
I mean,
that's whatever they say.
With Newsom and everything else, you just look at that and it's just insanity. I mean, in many ways, though I'm a staunch conservative, I'm a libertarian, I don't want government.
Oh, yeah.
There's no reason we have a Department of Education. Mm-hmm. That was put in by Lyndon Johnson to kind of appease the people after Kennedy got shot, after he set the whole thing up, in my humble opinion, but whatever, that's another story, which Trump wants to actually release that stuff. That would be very interesting if he gets in.
Oh, yeah.
The bottom line is that how many billions of dollars is now the $30 billion a year, something to run the Department of Education?
Yeah,
it has nothing to do. Education all should be handled on a local level.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
nothing that the federal government should be even involved with.
So
what they do, they create this bureaucracy and all these, 12 million, 14 million people work for the government in the United States out of 330 million? That's insane.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and government-run education has only gotten worse since we've had the Department of Education. The environment's only gotten worse since the EPA.
Don't talk to me global warming. One of my favorite course, geology, and you look around these hills here in the valley, and we were a glacier. We were under 600 feet of water. That's called Mother Nature. The world warms up, the world cools down. It's been doing it for billions of years, kids. Not AOC. We're all going to be dead in 12 years. Leave the room. Yeah, and people believe it. That's the sad part.
I mean, George Carlin put it best. He said, save the planet. Save the planet. The planet's fine. The people are effed up, but the planet's just fine.
That's right. We'll all be gone in 5,000 to 10,000 years anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
If we're not actually part of like computers now and we don't even realize it. I mean, there could be so many scenarios that this could be happening. Not that I'm a weirdo thinking all this stuff, but I remember there was one kid in Northridge. I remember going out in our front yard. We had an oak tree, and it was a windy night. You know how those windy nights in the fall could be cold and coming in, the Santa Anas and all that. And I'm out there, and I'm looking up at the stars, and, of course, Twilight Zone was big then and all this stuff, the Outer Limits. And I looked up there, and it freaked me out. It was one of the things in life I always think about. I look up, and I say, wait a minute. Where does it end? Where does it begin? We as human beings can't fathom that. We have to put everything in a box, that everything has a beginning, a middle, and end, and all. That's just our psyche. We cannot fantasize or even think of think about it. Where is the universe beginning and ending? I mean, you'll go crazy. A lot of people have gone to mental institutions because of that. It really made a big impactful thing this day. I was about 10 years old, and I go, wow, and kind of give you your sea legs on Earth, going, we're just little, the old specks of sand on the shore, out of the billions and billions of stars out there.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of crazy when you really think about it. But don't think about it too much, because you will start drinking. I'll let you go, man. I could talk to you all night.
Or in my case, eating.
What?
In my case, eating.
Yeah, well, me too. I do love to eat. Wow, what a joy, man. You unlocked the old cobwebs from way back.
Yeah, I'm enjoyed the stories here, and thank you, Artie. We've been talking with sales and marketing expert Artie Breyfogle. He's also a TV personality as well as a former radio personality. And hey, it's been great having him on. If you want to check out his website, just go to facebook.com/TVFats. That's facebook.com/TVFats. Until next time, this is Josh Jacobs. Keep your mind on the things above, and as you hit that open road, don't be a slowdown spectator.